foresight. This is very, very important for you guys to be here today. My name is Samuel Bean, Diamond Ambassador for Ibüümerang International. And as you can tell, I'm extremely excited. I definitely want to say it's a pleasure and a privilege to serve on this platform that was created by Mr. and Mrs. Earlene and Holton Buggs, the CEOs of the company, as well as an honor to be selected to be your basic training instructor today by none other than our global master ambassador, Mr. Edwin Haynes, to be able to get in the trenches and train with our other fellow Diamond ambassadors. And for those of you who don't know this, I did serve in the military, and it was during Desert Storm, and I learned a lot when I went through basic training. And it was a very humbling experience because the very first thing that I actually learned is that I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared emotionally, I wasn't prepared mentally, and I was not prepared, physically for the journey ahead of me. But my instructors and my drill sergeants, they took very, very good care of me, and they got me up to par. And so, when I look at what I learned, I learned a lot about teamwork, I learned a lot about discipline, execution, mental toughness. I learned a lot about leadership, but most importantly, I learned to never, ever, not finish a job or a mission until it was actually complete. It was finish it at all costs. Always finish what you started. And so for me, when I found out today's basic training topic was how to follow up and how to follow through, it put me in a really good spot, a really, really good place, a familiar place that I get a chance to share with you guys today. So allow me to pull up my slides here today. I'm gonna share some things with you guys today, and that way you can take it on your journey and make sure you finish your job. Make sure you finish everything that you start going forward. Okay. All right, there we go. Basic training, flight school series, Ibüümerang International, and let's see here. Okay, there we go. First and foremost, since this is a business, this is a company, definitely want to give you guys a disclaimer, for all of our independent business owners, our TSAs out there. We make no promises about income, but I can tell you this, you do get paid in direct proportion to what you earn and what you deserve. And so keep that in mind, especially when you're having conversations out there and you're prospecting and you're giving presentations. That's very, very important because you don't want to put the company and your lifestyle and the lifestyle of everybody else in jeopardy, okay? Let's see here. So like I said, the topic for today is follow up and follow through, and why follow up, okay? And the first thing you see here is to make sure that you address all areas of concern. And we used to call it objections, but objections are, it gives off a negative connotation, but there are several areas of concern that people will not sign up from initially from the very first, exposure. So when they say, hey, look, I'll get back with you, they're trying to figure some things out. They're trying to mull some things over in their head. And it's one of these, three things. It's normally money, okay, or it's normally time, and it's normally experiences. And get with your leaders, and they can help you with, how to counteract those areas of concern for those people. But that's one of the reasons why you want to make sure that you follow up to get those addressed. The other thing is that you want to make sure you follow up to get them enrolled. Like I said, you're going through all these trainings, you're going through this whole entire process, so you can get that end result. People in your business or people as a customer, okay? Now, the other thing that you want to make sure that you follow up for is the BAM fam, because if a person does not sign up after the very, very first exposure, you want to book a meeting from a meeting, okay? And so BAM family, when you say book a meeting, from a meeting can be anything from, going from the video that they watched, the either side video, to a three-way phone call with your senior partner. Or it can be going from that three-way phone call, from your senior partner to the next exposure, okay? And so you just want to continue to put a person in that pipeline and put a person in that cycle of taking them from one appointment to the next. Just like the dentist's office, the dentist will never ever let you leave out of the office without booking the next appointment, okay? Now, here are a couple of stats that you really want to pay good close attention to, because some of you guys have been beating yourself up because when you say, hey, this is a great presentation, how can they not get signed up after watching the I Decide? How can they not get signed up by watching Mr. Holton Buggs do a presentation? How can they not signed up by watching one of our diamond or elite trainers and presenters do a presentation on It Takes Two during the day? Well, the fact is that most people don't get started, on an average of, well, they don't get started right away. It's normally the second, third, or even the fourth exposure that gets them enrolled. On average, it's 5 follow-ups that's required for you to actually get a person into the system. Okay, and when you look at this industry, direct sales and network marketing, sad to say, 44% of the people that are out there that are building the business, they quit after their very first no. Okay, and so, which is tragic, because again, this is a business, and as a business owner, you're going to go through some things. You're going to have some growing pains, and it's sad that you have some people with what I call the one no dream. You have a goal, you have a dream, and one no can make you forget about everything that you got started in the business for. I like to say, don't let what you see get away in what you saw, because what you saw in the beginning was a way for you to go out there and make that extra money or retire that spouse. But what you're seeing right now, those no's and the negativity, is what's standing in the way of you and you going forward. Okay? So what does no mean, right? For most people out there, no means they're in doubt. They're lacking clarity on what's going on or what's been described or what's been pitched. They have disbelief because they're not associated with people who are successful in network marketing or who've had success in network marketing, or they don't believe in themselves, right? And so, or the people who even invite them to see the business, there's some disbelief there. There's some faith. First of all, when you look at that word fear, okay, fear is the root to everything negative, ladies and gentlemen. So fear is a very, very big thing, and it can accomplish just about everything that drives a person to saying no. But no also means not right now. It may be the worst time ever, for people. Like we have people who we presented, to 12 months ago, who started 9 months later. Okay, they started 12 months later. We have people who actually we presented to 12 months ago who probably won't start till next year in 2021, and it's fine. Okay, but sometimes it's not the perfect time for them. It may be the perfect time for you, but again, it's not the perfect time for them. So be patient. Okay. When you look at this next success tip here, when you talk about scheduling, I brought it up, a little bit earlier when I said the dentist, their secretaries don't let you walk out of the office unless you have an actual appointment to come back. Well, you want to make sure that you book that next follow-up appointment from that exposure. Okay, so if I'm coming, and doing a presentation, and you're the guest, I'm going to make sure that if you're not signing up today, you're not enrolling today, we're going to book the next appointment, because this is what happens. When a person says, call me tomorrow, and they don't give you a time, and you call tomorrow and they're busy at work, they're going to either ignore you, or they're going to say, hey, this is a bad time, call me back. And every time you call them back and it's a bad time, it goes from you following their instructions to you hounding them. And it makes you look needy. It makes you look like you're chasing them. And again, you don't want that. Okay. Professionals work by calendar. So if I actually set an appointment with somebody, I want to make sure that before, we're scheduled to talk at 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock, whatever time we're going to talk, I'm going to send you a text message to remind you that we have that time on our calendar. Okay. Just to make sure I do my part. So when I call you, I don't sneak up on you, because people got a lot going on, ladies and gentlemen. They have 24 hours in a day like you do, and they have families, they have work, they have school, they have life. And so it's easy for a person to forget that they actually have an appointment. It may be on your calendar, but it may not be on theirs. Okay, so make sure that you book it right away. The other thing is this, from an internal perspective, you want to make sure that you book your calendar, because if you don't, and you just say, hey, look, I'm going to do my follow-ups, what happens is you start to self-sabotage, and you start to prioritize and put everything else, before your actual follow-ups. So instead of saying, well, I'll get back to that person tomorrow, go ahead and put it on your calendar so you become more disciplined, more professional, more prepared, right? More on purpose. And they look at you like you're a professional as well. Okay. So keep your calendar. If you don't have a calendar in front of you, ladies and gentlemen, when you're doing presentations, you're setting the wrong, example. Remember, it's just like our children. We're always teaching our children, whether we're talking directly to them or we're talking around them. Okay? And so when you sign a person up and you don't have a calendar, guess what they won't have? They won't have a calendar at their presentations either, which means that they're going to be building their businesses casually. And anytime you build a business casually, you become a casualty. Okay, so always book that thing out. Okay, and another thing, when you look at booking out a calendar, don't give them the whole entire day. Give them 2, maybe 3, if they're very, very busy, options. Okay, give them 2, maybe 3 options. Okay, is morning or evening good for you? Okay, morning. Okay, well, great. 9 o'clock or 11 o'clock. Which one works best for you? Okay, well, 11 o'clock. Okay, great. And make sure you hammer it down. You give them the options, and when they select it, it makes them feel like they're in control. Okay, well, really, the person who's asking the questions is the one that's actually in control. So that puts you in the driver's seat. Okay? Here are 5 keys to following up. Okay, when you look at stories, I love to tell stories. Facts tell and stories sell. When you try to educate a person into the business or fact a person into the business, ladies and gentlemen, that does nothing for them. It's like handing them a pamphlet and walking away. Okay. If you're going to tell stories, I like to tell stories of people who've actually won. Like, if somebody saw the presentation, in early January, and I'm following up with them, and it's the end of February or it's early March, I'm going to tell them stories about people who came into the business, and because of the It Takes Two program, their results are skyrocketing in comparison to what normally happens in the business. I'll give them specific individuals who's done some things. Like I have people in my group right now who they put 20 people in business in 2 days, in the last 2 days of the month of February. And these are not networkers. So when I tell a person who may not be a networker or an entrepreneur, this story that a person came in and they followed the system and they went straight to the top, or they're experiencing great success, that helps. When you tell a person, stories about how many people have come in the system, right? Since we've talked last, it lets people know that we need to get moving. It gives them the fear of loss. And so, but continue to tell stories of everybody, everything. Tell people stories about Cancun, that the trip that we have coming up, or any events that we have coming up in the future. So we want to make sure that they continue to know that life is moving on. They'll continue to get that social proof that they need to make those decisions. So master the art of storytelling. Okay, leverage. This is the next key, and I kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier when I said you're telling a person, you know what, since we talked, 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, I've had 7 or 8 people who've come in, to the business on that same side that we were going to put you on. And that those 7 or 8 people have already put in about 25 to 30 people. So all of those people could have actually been beneath you, okay, in our dual team or binary system, okay. And so now, when you position yourself, you're going to be contributing to their income as opposed to it being the other way around. Okay, so when you look at leverage, leverage is the key. That's why we use the binary, ladies and gentlemen. On the front end, remember, a person gets in, they have what we call first movers advantage. They have prime real estate. They have an opportunity to go out there and let the system, do some dynamic things around them while they're building through their process, while they're taking their time, or while they're growing, while they're developing, while they're earning, while they're learning. That leverage is key. So the more and more, people who you put in the system while they're making up their mind, the more and more pressure that they put on themselves when they hear all the good news. Okay, and so leverage is very, very key. The next key, okay, when you talk about effective following up, 3-way phone calls. Man, 3-way phone calls, when you look over here on the left-hand side, third-party validation, senior partner support, and team member social proof. Well, when you look at that third-party validation, like I said, coming out of a meeting where you probably did a Zoom, and a Zoom presentation, and you had a couple of people on your call. Well, you found somebody who was excited. You found somebody who realized that I want to make an extra $5,000 a month, or I want to retire my spouse, and you get that person on the line with one of your senior partners. Okay, what happens is this: you do the edification prior to the three-way phone call. Let that person know who you're going to put them on the phone with. Let them know their accolades and their accomplishments, and let them know that this person is going to be available to help them as long as they deserve it, right? And so when they get on that call, all you want to do is say, "Hello, Mr. Gray. This is Tanya. Tanya, this is Mr. Gray, and I'm going to put myself on mute, and I'm going to go ahead and let you guys have that conversation." So when you tell Mr. Gray exactly what Tanya liked the best, he knows exactly where to go from there. This is not the opportunity for you to take, over the phone call and instruct Mr. Gray on what to tell Tanya and how to take that conversation and guide her. He's the expert. He's going to do that. But what happens is now, by pulling yourself out of the equation, it also is teaching that person, Tanya, how to behave when you do a three-way for her. It's also teaching her that you actually have respect for your leader. It also teaches her, that she has support. She has somebody who has the results that's going to be right there in her corner when she gets started. So she don't have to know everything, which means that senior partner support is going to be there. Okay. And if you're one of those people, ladies and gentlemen, who you can't get, a Spencer Iverson on the phone, or you can't get an Amy Seaver on the phone, you can't get one of your diamond leaders, Johnny Wimbrey on the phone. What happens is now you go to your teammates and you say, hey, like I would call somebody like Lee Williams, one of I call her a golden girl. And I would say, hey, Tanya, I know you want to get in, and I know you got some doubts about network marketing. You've never talked to anybody who's successful. I want you to talk to somebody who's had some success, in this company, who's never had success in another company before. This lady, Lee Williams, in the last 2 days of February, she put in 17 people in her business. And I can tell you right now, she's extremely excited about it, and her team's extremely excited about it, and they've taken off. So I put her on the phone with somebody on my team. I give her that social proof from one of my team members, and that team member will not only validate what I just told them, but they will also go back and edify you again. So now this is giving you more credibility. But if you're not using three ways, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you right now, you're costing yourself a lot of money. Three ways are huge in network marketing. And a lot of people who know you, let me help you understand something. A lot of people who know you, they love you, right? But they don't trust your business prowess on this platform. They don't trust that you can help them become successful. And 9 times out of 10, they probably think that they're more capable and more qualified than you anyway, and because they're comfortable and they're familiar. So having somebody, outside of you and that friendship, that relationship, do a three-way phone call for you, I can tell you right now, that'll do a lot of good for you, because your expert is going to turn around and put all of the recognition and all the edification back on you, because they want you to be able to work with that person efficiently and effectively, and they want to be able to work themselves out of a job. Okay. So when you look at this, baseball diamond, and I talked about it earlier, let's just say you're at home plate, you're at the batter's box, and the one thing that you don't want to do, like my real good friend, we call him Super E, Mr. Emmanuel Bernstein, Diamond Ambassador here in Ibüümerang International. He likes to say, hey, don't swing for the fences, okay? Right now, all you need are some base hits, okay? Because people who actually swing for the fences always take the big shot, they swing it and they strike out more than anybody. Okay, what you want to do is you want to put the ball in play. Okay, you want to figure out what hole, what gap you want to knock that ball through just to get on base. So when you put that person on a Zoom and they're watching a presentation, or you put them on It Takes Two, right, and they're watching that presentation, or you send them an eye-to-side video, however you expose those people, they're swinging, you're swinging, and you hit, and next thing you know, you're going to take that base hit, and you're going to go to the very first exposure, right? So that's what that is. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to go from the first exposure to the second exposure, which is a three-way phone call. Okay. So if a person is saying, hey, look, I love what I've seen, I love the money, I love the travel, And I love the video. The video is very, very duplicatable. The either side thing is genius, and it's only 15 minutes. And they're giving you all the great feedback, that you need, because you're collecting data, you're collecting intel that you're giving to your senior partner so they can help that person make a buying decision. Okay. So we're not in the convincing business. We're in the business of helping people open up their business. Okay. So from that first exposure, we're going to go straight to the three-way phone call. Okay? That three-way phone call, like I just explained, is going to be with your expert. Now, what happens is we're going to take that person, if they're not ready to sign up right now, right? If they're not ready to go ahead and ink on the dotted line, they got a couple things they want in a little bit of time that they want to think about it with the spouse, or they want to put some dimes, nickels, and quarters together. That's fine. But what we want to do is we want to get them to the next exposure. Okay? And the next exposure, it can be anything from one of our morning motivation calls, okay, that happens every morning at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. It could be one of our basic training calls that happens Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 4 o'clock p.m., depending on who that person is and their personality. If they're a green, an analytical individual, they might want to see what the system looks like, and they might want to play with it a little bit. So you put them on one of our basic training calls, or they can be on one of our It Takes Two calls, 12 o'clock noon every day, or 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time every day. It doesn't matter. Get them to the very next exposure, right? That third exposure. Okay. And once they get to that third exposure, and again, you're keeping them connected. You're keeping them within the system. You're keeping them updated. You keep giving them testimonials. You keep giving them stories. You keep feeding them and feeding them and feeding them until you get them to a regional event, or you get them on another training call, or you get them on one of the, because your leaders, ladies and gentlemen, your leaders, some of them actually have training calls. See, that's a great tool as well. You get a chance to show the people who you're wanting to do business with who they're tied to and what they have access to going forward. You have people who are, again, in this company like Jex. Jex is amazing. He's a great speaker. He's very, very passionate about it. And I can tell you, if you put him on a training call with Jex, they're in the business. When you look at other people, you're Daniel Camaro, again, a person, he may be doing a training on how to get the diamond or how to get $20,000 a month or something like that, and they get on the train like that, and that's an exposure. Or they may get a chance to hear, Cesar Munoz talk about, energy, one of his trainings or something like that. You never know. A training is just as good as a presentation, okay? It really is, because the presentation is, the one thing that you show everybody. That's what happens before a person signs up. When they see a training from one of your leaders, that's what happens after you sign up. So now they get a chance to see what's up under the hood, okay? And once they get to that third exposure, boom, you bring them home, okay? You got a brand new team member, okay? And that's what that baseball diamond does. Keep a person in play. Don't ever put the whole team at jeopardy by swinging for the fences. Keep on hitting those base hits. Keep on hitting those gaps until you can keep on seeing the people, come in. When you look at all the World Series, the World Series are not won on everybody hitting home runs, okay? The World Series and the championships are brought home by people who get on the base the most, okay, and bring people home the most. So again, that's our baseball diamond, okay? And so another key to following up is giving people materials that you have to get back. See, if a person, gets one of your vision albums, okay? This vision album, ladies and gentlemen, that we have right here is an amazing album, has a lot of great pictures. And it's the vision album from our big convention, last year. And everybody's smiling, everybody's happy, everybody's co-mingling, everybody's coexisting, and they get a chance to see our culture, they get a chance to see our environment, right? That's amazing. And that's why you want to have more than one album. You want to have, 4 or 5 albums just to have so you can give out. So when that person, says, hey, I'm busy, I can't follow up with you right now, I can't return your phone call right now, no problem. Send them a text message, say, hey, that's great. You just let me know when you're ready to do business or when you're ready to follow up, but I need to come get my inventory. I need to come get my vision album, or I need to come get my pamphlets that I gave you because that's my inventory. I gave that to you to watch. Or I need to come get my flight plan calendar, right? My flight plan calendar is something that I may have given a person who wants to see what our system looks like behind closed doors. Again, this is something that we use. This is a tool that we use to make sure that we're on purpose. This is our calculator, if you will. Okay. But I need to get it back. So get that back. Don't let a person keep it. It gives you an opportunity to get right back in front of that person, but in person, right? Now, that's very, very, so this is something I learned from Mr. Buggs years ago. He teaches this on the cash cow, right? So go ahead and buy enough material where you can have material that's out and people are watching it and looking at it, and make sure you have an appointment to get back with them so you can get that back. That presents another opportunity for you to communicate and get back with them to follow up. Okay. And so when you talk about follow up for how long, right? One, you want to follow up until they enroll, obviously. You want to follow up until they give you referrals. So you know what, this is not for me. I really appreciate what you guys do, and I've seen the results, and I see what this thing can be for me, but it's just not for me. But at this point in time, I do have some people, like, since you asked for some referrals, I do have some people that I know travel, who need a plan B, who's looking to do something totally different. Well, I know some people who are and the thing about referrals, ladies and gentlemen, referrals are amazing. Referrals are huge. That's third-party credibility. That's a person, when you get a referral, you walk right into that transaction without having to convince anybody, because that person was referred to you by somebody that they know, that they like, and that they trust. So you're automatically on a position where now that person's looking at you and looking at what you're talking about with credibility. Okay. And so make sure you get as many referrals as you can. Now, another thing about referrals I want to bring up here, if a person says, you know what, this is not for me, and I am going to give you a list of referrals though, what happens is this: when you take those referrals and you turn those referrals into people who are going to start to build a business. Now, before you put that referral in the system, right, you want to give that other person a call back. Say, hey, Tanya, I know you were going to get ready to get started, and something came up and you say, you know what, it's not for me, you change your mind. But when you sent me Paulette, okay, Paulette is ready to get started. I already have her application right here. She's getting started first class. And what I wanted to do with you, since you referred her to me, and I know you had some interest, I want to give you an opportunity to come into business first and recruit her personally. Okay. Obviously, you'll make way more money than I will in this transaction, but for me, it's not about the money. It's for me providing, what you said you wanted when we first started talking, which was an extra $3,000 a month. And so now we can take those resources that you brought to the table, and we can now start building toward that goal that you said you wanted to accomplish. So you take those referrals, right? And that person who was about to get started, if they say no, the next referral that gets started, you do the same exact thing, okay? And you take that referral, get that referral started, but don't put them in the system and go right back to Tanya. Tanya, hey, David is ready to get started now. And you know David, the real estate guy, the one who's doing real estate all over Atlanta, that guy's getting ready to get started. And he's got a huge Rolodex of people, and you want to get started before David. And not just like last time, I'll offer you that the same deal. You get started, you enroll David, and I'll put you in, right? So now I can tell you right now, it's a whole lot harder for her to miss this one. The first time you think it's a fluke. The second time, we're on purpose. This thing is working. That everybody is doing what you said you wanted to do, but you're too scared to do. Okay. And that's the other thing, just be patient with people, ladies and gentlemen. Take them through the process. And when I say be patient, patient doesn't mean go slow. Patience, means go fast, but follow the system, while you're going fast. Be on purpose while you're going fast, and understanding that things are going to happen in due time, in its time, not your time. Okay. So be patient. That's the thing about following up. Following up is a commitment. Okay. It's something that it's a process, a part of the process that you have to be relentless at, and you got to get those deals closed. And I can tell you, for those of you who get good at this or even great at this, it won't take you 5 follow-ups. Okay. Well, you can probably get it done in 2 to 3 follow-ups. You want to always be better than the averages. And by going out there and mastering this process, you know, that nobody else is mastering, they're taking it lightly, you'll always be one of the top producers in whatever company that you're in, okay? But the other thing is that you follow up until they tell you to stop, okay? Once they tell you to stop, that's fine. What you do is this, they're probably your Facebook friend or your Instagram friend, or you know, whatever it is, you know, IG, LinkedIn, they're probably your friends some kind of way on social media. What happens is now they get a chance to watch you win, and they're not watching you. You make sure they watch you win, but not out of spite. You make sure that they watch you win because, again, it's more and more social proof that gets a chance to, you know, gives you a chance to drip on them indirectly, okay? And so remember, there's only 6 degrees of separation out there. So everybody who you know knows them, and I can tell you, or know somebody who knows them. So the good news will always come back around to them. So you just keep on living your life. You keep on building your business. You keep on taking everything that you're supposed to take and mastering it. And at some point in time, a lot of those people will come back to you and say, you know what, you know, are you still doing that thing? Are you still in travel? Or are you still in Ibüümerang? Are you still doing Vibe Rides? Are you still in telecommunications? Or whatever we go into, you know, going forward. But at some point in time, they'll come back. You know, you just give them their space. You know, don't be like everybody else and be a hound. You know, just give them their space. Don't act needy. You know, don't have a scarcity mentality. No, there's a ton of people out there, and make sure that all of them end up in your pipeline. Okay. And so with that, I want to say this. If you ever find yourself, you know, saying, I have to get back to the basics, that means that you got away from them. Okay. Always stick with the basics. You know, when you look at myself, you know, in this industry, I've always told people, and I've always been transparent, I may not ever be the best speaker. I may not ever be the best trainer, the best presenter. But the one thing I will be the best at is not quitting. You know, I'll always be the best at doing what's required. Regardless to what the level of quality that it's done on, I will always do what's required. You know, I will always be consistent, you know, and so, you know, just stay with the basics. And I can tell you, when you look at people like Tim Duncan, you know, Tim Duncan, you know, I call him the big fundamental. Everybody calls him the big fundamental. There's nothing exciting about Tim Duncan, you know, but, you know, he's always where you want him to be. He's always around the basket, getting the rebound, around the basket, laying the ball up off the backboard, around the basket, you know, giving an assist to somebody that's cutting to the basket. But the one thing he'll always be is in the Hall of Fame with 4 rings. When you look at Kevin Garnett, yeah, the big ticket. He sold some tickets, right? Made some big contracts, got a lot of people excited. He's got 1 ring, okay? 1 ring. What do you want? Okay, you want to win, you know, one time, or you want to win forever? Okay, and so with that, ladies and gentlemen, again, this is Samuel Bean, Diamond Ambassador for Ibüümerang International. It's been a pleasure, again, to serve you guys today as your instructor. And what I would definitely encourage you guys to do is make sure you get back here, you know, when this thing is on live again. I think it's on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken, but go to iBoom Hub and you can see it on the calendar. And they're going to be talking about how to launch your business, and I'll be on there with you. So see you guys at the top, at the bank, at the beach. We see you guys on the scoreboard, on the stage in Cancun and in Las Vegas. Bye-bye for now.